Hey, looks like we are live once again. Welcome everyone to this happy half hour on the eve of St. Patty's Day. I'm David Shakavich, the president of Carolina Retirement Planners. With me is my partner in business and daughter, Sam Shakavich, Samantha Shakavich. Say hi, Sam. And
Hi, Sam.
those of you regular listeners know we are here, but if you are here for the first time, we are here at 7th and Market in Wilmington, North Carolina, where our office is. And starting in COVID, when COVID came around, we kind of said, how do we keep in touch with folks? We can't hold luncheons and all like we did. And we started a half hour broadcast every Thursday at 4:30. Grab your favorite drink and come to Happy Half Hour, and that's today's. And what is our behind the scenes is Amy. Amy, what is our topic today?
Our topic today is RMD Saga. The RMD Saga continues.
Yeah, we got just a lot of things have changed, and I thought there's some things we'll pull together to talk about, and I'm going to actually go to the board behind me for that one. But this is also, again, the eve of St. Patty's Day. And Amy, you ask a question each time when we send out our email. What was today's question?
Well, hello. Today's question.
Nice and green. Like the green.
Yeah, I've got a little, green bling happening here. So what I asked today is National Panda Day. So happy National Panda Day. And so I asked everybody, if you had a panda on St. Patrick's Day, what would you do? Like, what would you do? And we have some really creative and great answers. I think this is by far my favorite answers that we've ever had. So I can go through some of them if you'd like.
Well, yeah, let's start off with some of the answers we got to that panda question.
Okay. So Dan says, what I would do if I had a panda on St. Patrick's Day is create a pandemonium. Get it?
Yeah, pandemonium. Yeah, even I get that.
Yes.
That sounds like an engineer's joke,
It does. It was funny. I liked it.
Dan is an engineer too,
See, there you go. There's that humor. Casey said that she would dye the fur white, the white fur on the panda green, and she would definitely use water soluble dye, and then she would walk into the harp. So I thought that was pretty creative.
That would, I wonder if anyone the harp would notice,
You know what, on St.
Depends
Patrick's Day,
how late it is on St. Patty's Day, it's just
yeah. We had some other ones. My favorite, I'm gonna have to read this because this is so great and I don't want to mess any of it up. But Jennifer said St. Patrick's Day will prove to be full of fun and frolic as we let loose from morning till night. Nice breakfast bamboo pancakes, pineapple and coconut milk, off to Jungle Rapids for a game of goofy golf and go-kart rides. Next stop, Airlie Gardens for a nice walk around the gardens, ending with a teddy bear picnic. Time for a traditional Irish dance lesson and costume fitting for the parade. We will be leading the Irish dances at several pubs in the area, ending our whirlwind adventures, enjoying a lovely dinner with all the Irish trimmings. Back to Trinity Landing for a good night's sleep as we dream of our next St. Patrick's Day adventures in the Far East. So, that was amazing. I loved it.
It does. That is a wonderful, panda fantasy, I guess you could call it.
Yeah. One other one that I'll mention is that Dave said that he would have an Irish beer drinking contest, but hands down the panda would win. He did enter like little fill in the blank things, but there were so many great ones. It would take forever to go through them, but those were my favorite, like some of my favorites. So yeah. I don't know. I thought it was so cool. But yeah, I'm gonna go back over here now. So
okay.
I hope it was slightly entertaining.
I think that was great, and I'd sing a few bars from Teddy Bear's Picnic, but maybe I'll spare everybody.
Oh,
Panda
no,
Bear.
no, no. I want to hear you sing it. Please do.
You've
Please
never
do.
heard that? If you go into the woods today, you better go in disguise. If you go into the woods today, you're in for a big surprise. For every bear there ever was will gather there because today is the day the teddy bears have their picnic. Great song,
You
great
never
song.
spared me my entire childhood.
I mean, I love it. That is so great. I love it. I love it. It's
So
wonderful. So what would you do if you had a panda bear for a day on St. Patrick's Day? Anything crazy?
I just probably take. I think the idea of going a tour of Irish pubs with Banda would be my kind of thing. I
Absolutely. How
may
about you,
not
Sam?
make it out of the first pub. You never know.
No.
Maybe it's because it's been a long day, but or a long week, but I wouldn't take my panda anywhere. I would cuddle the heck out of my panda. I'm not sharing my panda with anybody.
You know what? Tallulah, I think it was Tallulah that said the same thing. That was her. It would be hers for the day. So I have to just say I kind of like that idea too.
And a cuddle pile.
And just before I go and start talking about RMDs, want to say hi to Bill. Bill has joined us. Fred is here as always, and Miranda has joined us. Skip is here, and Dan, who already chipped in. Dan and Barb are here, still in Florida, staying warm. Kim, good to see you. Nadine, Phil, good afternoon to you too. And there is Teresa. Teresa is another one.
That's my
Just
mom. Yeah.
checked in to see what her daughter is up to. Eric and Cindy. Bill is here. He is also still in Miami. All these people in Florida. I guess it's the season. Our own Brenda is here listening, and our own Kristen is here. She's here too, and Brent is with us. So we're gonna let me maybe switch cameras, and we'll get started we'll get started on at least kind of a light, but hopefully reasonably entertaining view of RMDs. Amy, do you remember what we proposed RMD stood for?
Oh, yeah, I definitely do because it was so ridiculous. I can't forget. Retired mob disorder.
Retired mob disorder. I'm trying to come up with cool, funny things for RMDs besides required minimum distribution. If you can think of one, type it in. I like to have it in my cadre of RMD, alternatives. But just in case you've forgotten, while we were working all these years, most of us, we got to put money into our IRA, our 401k, our 403b, our SEP, Simple, TSP, all these different, plans without paying any tax on it. The government says, well, you can save money without paying tax for your retirement. So when you retire, you'll have more money to draw on. But they also said, hey, you can't keep it there forever. You got to start bringing it out so we can get some of that tax money to pay for all the good things we've been doing all these years. And so they said, we're going to have a requirement minimum distribution, and it would be required at a certain age. And for years, the age was 70 and a half. And so the year you turned 70 and a half, you had to start taking money out. Now, I Googled the heck out of it, and I know, nor anybody else, including some of the tax experts we talked to, seem to know why they came up with 70 and a half. So you're sitting there, when do I turn 70 and a half? So you could have a birthday on December 31st and still be 70 and a half the next year. I think you could have it on July 1st and still be 70 and a half the next year. You had to always figure this out. And a couple years ago, they changed it to 72, which makes a lot more sense. And then on, I think it was December 23rd, thereabouts, they came up with a Secure Act Part 2. And unbeknownst to, all of a sudden, they sprung it on us at the end of the year. This year, it is moved to 73. And it gets even more fun because they said that in 2033, it moves to 75. Now, what's interesting is if you were born on 1960, in 2033, I believe you will be 73. So if all these other people before you had to start taking it at 73, if you were born in 1960, you'll be 73 in 2033. So I think you get to wait a couple more years before your minimum distribution starts in. So it gets more interesting. Now, the tax code is written in pencil. You see all the changes just in the last few years. Who knows what it'll turn out to be? But the other reminder is that doesn't mean you should revel in saying, boy, I don't have to take anything out. Remember, there's two systems of taxation in the country, one for the informed, one for the uninformed. Uninformed people say, great, I can wait longer. Informed people say, great, I can start doing Roth conversions and do more before required minimum distributions, which can't be converted to a Roth, kick in and reduce the amount of opportunity to save on taxes I have. So a little bit there about the age. I thought while we're doing this, I might also act upon, well, just a reminder to everybody, if when you do have to start taking it, how much do you have to take out? And I have here the good old uniform lifetime table from one of Ed Slott's documents. And at 73, if you turn 73 that year, you're going to have to take out 3.77%. Goes up every year. By the time you're 80, you're going to have to take out 4.95%. By the time you're 90, you're going to have to take out 8.2%. At 100, it is 15, it is, where is it? Yeah, 15.6%. At 120, it is, or 110 rather, let me go to 110 first. 110, it's 28.6%. And at 120, and most people don't live past 120. I think the oldest age of anybody is like 121. It becomes 50%. So another reason why you want to get your Roth conversions done, because you're going to be forced to take more and more out of your IRA and pay more and more taxes, and as time goes on. So that's kind of a little overview. Now, a couple of years ago, 2020, they did something else that we need to remind everybody of. And that is, let's say, you die with
living person with 122. I just looked it up.
Pardon?
The oldest living person lived to be 122 years old.
Okay, someone used to be 121. Somebody edged them out, Arguably, with the improvements in medicine that I see coming and all I see on podcasts I listen to, it's going to be an interesting future. It's going to be an interesting future. Now, a reminder, if you leave your IRA to your spouse, they can take it out with the similar, based on their age. They kind of inherit it and can stretch it out on their
Yeah,
minimum.
they assume it as their own.
They assume it is their own and they go to their own ages. But let's say you leave an IRA to one of your children, okay? It's a
As
difference.
long as they're not a minor.
As long as they're not a minor, you leave it to one of your children, and you know, if you're so
we got
you leave it
or
to
if
one
they're
of your
chronically
children.
ill.
If
For most of the people that you could leave it to.
right, what they said is, hey, you can stretch this out. You don't have to take it all out at once. You can stretch this. And so if you left it to a child who was like 60, they could kind of stretch this out over, well, a 60-year-old would have about 27 years they could stretch it over before, you know, they got a much longer period, another set of tables that I won't bore us with right now. Here's the thing. They also said in 2022, they said, no, you can't stretch this out over that time. If you die, the kids have to take it all out in 10 years. At the end of 10 years, they must have taken it all out and pay tax on it. So you can see if you leave them with one, instead of getting that stretch IRA that we were all sold on for years, just leave a big chunk to your kids, they can stretch it out. Now they've got to pay the tax quicker. And remember, when they get this, let's say they're, you know, depending when you die, this money goes on the top of their highest tax bracket, their highest marginal bracket. And if they have their kids, your grandkids go into college and are applying for aid, this could upset their aid. A lot of things. And the logical thing to do if you get this is to take like an even amount every year, because if you wait to the very end, you'll have a big amount coming at you once and you'll pay even more in taxes. So this was like, now all of a sudden leaving people IRAs is worse because they're going to pay more on it and be in a higher tax bracket and everything else. It gets even more complicated because the IRS says, we thought that this meant, well, let's say you were working still for a couple more years and you didn't want to take it out for a couple of years because you're already in a high bracket, you could wait. Well, the IRS said, if you're the person that left this to you is already taking RMDs, you're going to have to start taking RMDs at this rate, but still get it out in 10 years. So you couldn't wait a couple years and not take it out. And and no one expected that. It's kind of a bit of a mess. But this is another thing, another change you should be aware of. But while we're here talking about this, let's talk about the double-edged sword we have here. This can hurt you if the money's in an IRA. But if the money is instead in a Roth where you have taken your IRA, paid the tax and moved it over and converted it to a Roth, well, Roths do not have RMDs. So if you have this in a Roth, they can wait 10 more years, get tax-free growth for 10 years, and then at the last minute, they can take it all out tax-free. So if it's in a Roth and you leave it to your kids and your grandkids, they get the benefit of 10 more years of tax-free growth. Two systems of taxation, one for the informed, one for the uninformed. And so this is another advantage that this brings us. Now, let's see. one last thing, one last little thing that I found amusing. Um, you know, when if you've started your RMDs and you die and you leave it to your kids, say, or your spouse, you still have to take your RMD in the year you die. You still have to complete that and then leave it to them. However, let's say you were 73 this year and you died. Well, the official date for when you have to start your RMDs for the first time isn't the year you turn 73, it's April 1st of the following year. That's the
Required beginning date.
required beginning date. And so if you have to live beyond that date before, if you die, you're required to take an RMD. I'd forgotten this, and we had a lot of clients that have passed this year, but we had one that was 73 or 72 last year, and they had not started taking their RMD yet because they had a lot of money last year and they wanted to wait this year to take it and then a second one. And when I researched it, I realized that no, their spouse, they don't have to take an RMD at all because they didn't live to April 1st. So a little bit of RMD trivia, some more things that are kind of interesting. But I hope you all live way past 73 or 75. Let's see, have I missed anything? Have I missed anything on kind of the big pieces of RMDs?
I don't think so. I think you covered it all, Dad.
You know, we always have a giveaway, and this year we have one. You know, figuring all this out can be difficult. We have a little white paper that we can, if you would like, you can call it. It's the value of an objective opinion, and it kind of talks about that. And how do they get this, Amy?
All they have to do is send Mary an email at mary@carolinarp.com, and she will mail one out to you. There's also some good charts in there and stuff
real
too.
Paper, real paper.
Yeah.
So, so that's a little bit on this. Hey, Amy, what are we talking about next week?
We have a great one next week. Next week, we're going to be talking about our banks safe. Oof. You know, all the stuff that had happened in California with the banks. And so I think that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, a lot of people are concerned about banks, as they should be, as we learned. And we haven't done this. I don't know if we've ever done this because we haven't had this since 2008. I talked about it a lot more back then. But we're going to kind of do a review, our bank safe. And if you have money in the bank, how you can be sure that it's safe. There's things you can do and things you may not be doing to be sure that it's safe. So we're gonna have some fun and talk about that. I'll see if I can find some other interesting stories to make it even more entertaining. You know, so they're always out there if you look hard enough. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a great topic. There's a lot of interest in it.
Who else has joined us? Sam, do you see anybody else we have not had a chance to say hi
to? One, but we did get a great RMD abbreviation. Brent said, remit my dollars.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It is a good one, yes.
And also Rich is here.
Okay.
Rich joined us, yeah.
And I think Bill, if we haven't said hi to him already. So so next week, our bank's safe. Got a bunch of other good stuff. I got one coming up that as I go along, I keep coming up with new tricks and tips for Roth conversions. And we're going to cover some of those that you may not have seen before. So should be good.
It will be good. We're set, I believe, and we have all the topics through June, I believe. So we hammered out some really good ones that are going to be coming up. I'm excited.
Okay. And see if we can get some guests on too, as usual. If you always have an idea, send us the idea for what it could be.
Mhm.
Oh, we're getting close to the top of the hour. What are we missing? What haven't we done?
The wine drawing.
Of course.
So each week we raffle off 2 bottles of wine delivered directly to your door from Fermental Bottle Shop. They are newly located in the Cargo District in downtown Wilmington. You should go check them out. They're an awesome spot to grab a beer, grab a glass of wine, or pick some up to bring home. But if you win my raffle, you won't have to go anywhere because they will bring it right to your door. And to get your name in this jar, all you have to do is each week you either, if you're on Facebook, you just click that you're attending the event that we put out every week saying what it's going to be. Or if you're on our email listserv, we'll send you an email letting you know what our topic is. And you just respond with how you would spend your St. Patty's Day with a panda, or just say enter me in the wine drawing, and we'll get you in here as well.
By far my favorite. The answers this week were so great.
So our winner this week of 2 bottles of wine delivered directly to their door
Drum roll.
is Buck and Elaine G.
Well,
Congratulations.
Buck and Elaine, congratulations.
Y'all. You are our
Congratulations.
wine winners this week.
He
To
had a
every-
really good entry too.
He did have a funny entry.
He did. Yes.
To everybody else, please continue to enter. We love giving away wine, and we maybe next week will be your week.
I love it. All right. Yeah. And don't forget, our bank's safe next week. You gotta find out. Tune in. But,
Yeah.
all right, everybody have a wonderful St. Patrick's Day.
You too. Cheers, everyone.
Bye. Cheers. Take care.
We'll see you in a week. Bye-bye.
Bye.